I think these are completely over the top. I mean, when I look at what Graham Linehan tweeted, he said, if a trans-identified male is in a female-only space, he is committing a violent, abusive act. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls. I mean, an unpleasant tweet, absolutely. Does it deserve for him to be arrested? Absolutely not. Another was a photograph of a trans rights protest with the comment, a photo you can smell, with a follow-up post saying, I hate them, misogynists and homophobes. F them. Now again, a very, very unpleasant post. And it is true to say that maybe he was just looking for notoriety from these posts. But so what? It may be unpleasant, but that is not a criminal offence in my book and never should be. So maybe the law does need to be reformed to make sure that these things never happen. The problem is that all of you who are listening tonight, you will have your own border of where you would draw the line as to something that is acceptable and something that isn't. But I would suggest to you that there's no law that means that the police have to arrest somebody for saying what he did. 0345 6060 973. Helen Joyce joins me, Director of Advocacy of the charity Sex Matters, which focuses on biological sex being recognised in law and policy. Helen, good evening. What's your view on this whole freedom of speech issue, particularly relating to Graham Linehan?
So I see that there are two problems here. One of them is grossly overzealous policing, which is assisted by, shall we say, vague laws and things like non-crime hate incidents and so on. But the other one is enormous bias. So if, as has happened many, many times to Graham and indeed to me, somebody on the other side of this debate, a trans activist, had said something much, much worse, not necessarily online, it can be in person, made actual physical threats and so on, the police have nothing to say about it. But these somewhat intemperate, as you say, tweets, and even much less, gets treated like a crime, can get registered for a non-crime hate incident. This has happened to me. I discovered recently that I was recorded as having committed the crime of harassment without the police ever even getting in touch with me, because a trans activist complained about some tweets that I did that were nothing like the ones you quote from Graham. They were just me saying that a man is a man, a few factual things like that. Somebody else reported me, the police looked at it. I think they meant to record it as a non-crime hate incident, but their sheer incompetence meant they recorded it as a crime instead. And I only found that out when I put in a subject access request. And the funny thing is, I had made a crime report about the person who reported me because he was trying to dox me, he was lying about me, he was threatening me, and so on. All I have had since June, when I made that report, is 3 different crime numbers from 3 different police forces. So I know that we have totally biased policing, and Graham is an example of that.
And, I mean, Sir Mark Rowley, the head of the Metropolitan Police, he issued a statement this morning. Effectively, I mean, he didn't apologise for the officers arresting Graham Linehan, but it was heading in that direction. He clearly thinks the law needs to be changed, so the police can be a little bit more sure of what they should be doing and what they shouldn't. Because at the moment, it seems to me that you are right, that they're erring on one side and dismissing the other.
Absolutely. I do agree with Mark Rowley that he says that these things should be gone. We should wipe out non-crime hate incidents for a start. And just much more clarity. If you look at the law about things like police searching, it's spelled out in such detail, things like how long you can keep people in custody and so on, you know? And that's for a reason. It's because policing is a hard job and you need to have really clear rules. On this, they don't. But the other issue, which Mark Rowley did not mention, is that they are completely biased. They have bought into one worldview, and it is the worldview that a woman who says a man is a man and that men should get out of women's spaces is treated like she's a criminal, whereas the man who comes into women's spaces and who makes death threats against women is not treated as a criminal. He's listened to, he's given the red carpet when he complains to the police. And I know this because it has happened to me.
Helen, thank you for joining us. That's Helen Joyce, Director of Advocacy of the charity Sex Matters.